Thank you for joining me again. Today we will enter into the black door. So I have some really cool things to share with you today, and I know that the black door can seem kind of ominous. We are definitely going to be digging into the darkness, to the shadow side. We're not going to go too deep in shadow work. I'm going to share a story and we're going to dive a little bit into our own inner world. Shadows are the subconscious realm. We need to be able to do some form of shadow work in this life because we have a conscious side and an unconscious side. We have a subconscious. Jungian psychologists talk about the collective unconscious. We have our own unconscious. We also have a shared field where there are myths and archetypes and different stories playing out. And for as long as we have been around, we've been sharing stories. There have been orators, there have been people that have told stories only verbally, and there's cultures that have passed down their stories through lineages, through generations. And those stories hold wisdom. Those stories hold experience. Some of them are based on real events. Some of them are fabricated to create a something that people can, identify with and learn from. And oftentimes when we are being told a story, we can extract something for ourselves. It's going to meet something in you, in anyone, right? So I'm going to connect with it a certain way. You're going to connect with it a certain way. It's going to speak in different ways to you. Maybe the moral of the story is the same and there's like threads of those really big gold nuggets in it, or maybe it really speaks to something that's hidden under the surface and you're identifying that thing that is under the surface. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit of a story that was passed on to me. I did have to write it down because I'm not particularly a great storyteller, like when I'm just pulling it out of my mind. So I will be reading it. I do not think it's online. I have no idea where it came from, but it is the most profound story that I have been in contact with for me. And I know that it's going to be powerful for you as well. So I'd love for you to have something to sip on. I'd love for you to take the first part of this session and just rest in your body, allow yourself to soften, receive whatever it is that you're meant to receive. We are entering the black door together. We are entering into the subconscious together where shadow work happens. We are meeting the exiled parts, the parts that are seen as bad, or those skeletons in the closet, or the shadow side that we just can't tolerate or we just won't accept. We're going to be looking at these parts and we're going to be welcoming them back home to ourselves, which is half the work we already do inside of, the 64 archetypes. We have these inner archetypes. They have a shadow side, they have a light side. We want to mature them, elevate them, integrate them into ourselves when they're in the shadow. We don't want to just be like, oh yeah, go away. We can't tolerate you. We're going to leave you over here. When we do that, they make home in our subconscious, in our unconscious, and they actually play more of a role in our waking life and our real life than we are even conscious of, than we even understand. They play a huge part. When we don't make them conscious, they're influencing our lives. And life is going to bring us situations and circumstances to tap on that door to say, hey, there's a part of you left behind. Do you want to go on this journey to bring it back home? Or I'm trying to bring it back home to you. Will you accept it? Will you bring it in? So let's enter this door together with curiosity, with courage, and with an intention to be able to meet maybe one or two of your own exiled parts, the parts that feel sticky or tricky or just you can't find a place to feel okay with them in your life. And I hope that today we'll be able to meet that part and start to form a relationship with it and see what comes out of that. So let's dig in together. Let's enter that black door, the shadow world, the subconscious, the unconscious, tuning into yourself, taking a deep breath. Most of you are not new to this work. Many of you are extraordinarily intuitive. Some of you have already been working with the black door even before we have entered it today. And when there's light, there's also darkness. We live in a world of duality and we accept both light and dark. And our goal is to have a place for both the light and the dark in ourselves, in our lives. So just touch upon your body where right now the darkness or the shadow is calling you. We're just taking that moment to say, I'm here, I notice you. You might even feel it softening, like, oh, she notices me, he notices me, okay. Or you might see it contracting a little bit more. Oh no, she sees me. Whatever the case is, it's perfect. We're just keeping our awareness on that at the same time as we're gathering here together. So I'm going to stop sharing and let me pin myself. I am wearing no makeup, barefaced. I feel like we should all be naked if we could be. Naked so we can see all that we're meant to see. No hiding, no masks, none of that. Okay. So today I want to tell you a story. And it's a story that I was told in ceremony sitting with San Pedro. And San Pedro is also called Wachuma. It's a cactus. And you can turn it into a plant medicine, and it's psychedelic. In 2023, I believe, I sat with a few plant medicines, 3 different plant medicines that year. I was really called to that realm. I was really avoiding that realm for so long. My mind did not want to release control, and I thought that if I did, I would never come back because I'm already very idealistic and airy-fairy floaty, and I thought, oh, if I lose my mind, will I ever get it back? It was never that bad. I didn't, I found that I didn't have my mind so tightly wound as I thought I did. It was fine. I was already doing this stuff. And with all of my experience with plant medicine, what I've come to know about it is when you're sitting with it, it's a sacrament, it's a ceremony. If we approach it with respect and reverence, and we're working in the right setting and with the right facilitator, it it is exactly what it needs to be. Whether or not you have the right things or not, whether or not it's perfect or not, it is what you need. It's just if we approach it in the, I keep saying right, but it's not the right word. If we approach it in the right way, I don't know, it'll be a beautiful experience. And it may be dark, and that's still beautiful. So if we open our hearts and our minds enough, we can drop into these places without even plant medicine. So I'm not even saying and advocating for, oh, go do plant medicine. I'm not. So disclaimer, if you feel called to it, amazing, great, but you don't have to sit with any plant medicine to be able to drop into your body, soften into our bodies, and connect and commune with the subconscious. We can meet the dark and the light very easily. It's just a language we're learning. It's just a communication style. So that was one thing I learned, is that, yes, it was intensified with plant medicine, but I was already doing it. And oftentimes really intuitive or spiritual people, you don't really need to sit with plant medicine. You're doing it. You're doing the ceremony. every day of your life. So, this is a story that I was told in ceremony sitting with San Pedro, and I was, staring into the night sky. It was dark. We were in the desert. There were cactuses all around us. And at that time, Justin, my husband, and I were preparing to sit with ayahuasca for the first time that fall. And I'd been introduced to a shaman who would be facilitating the ceremony, and his name was Alvaro Santa Maria. And I'd only met him online through my business partner and spoke to him on WhatsApp. And I knew in my being, like, I want to meet him. I want to meet him before I meet him for the first time. So I reached out to him and he said he was going to be in town and that we were invited to go sit with Wachuma in Escondido, which was a little bit north of San Diego, out in the desert among the cactus. And a lot of people were actually spending the night there. And it was like this little pop-up community with people were on guitars, they were singing, there was stuff set up, there was food. It was like this small village that came up out of nowhere. And we were just going to spend, that night there. And I remember driving out there with a lot of nervousness because I had sat with psilocybin before, but never wachuma or ayahuasca. And I was like, I don't know what today's going to be like. But I had this intuition of I'm being called to something deeper and something that I couldn't quite name. And I didn't really know what was going to transpire, but something important. Like I was meant to do this, I was meant to be here. So I brought two things with me that day. I bought a couple of things, but two things that I'll name now. I brought this malachite stone, and usually I pick things intuitively if I'm going to go to ceremonies like this or anywhere. I'm just kind of like, oh, I need this, or I need this oil, or I need that. I just know what I need. And oftentimes they're like, oh, my intuition is like, of course you needed that. It's for this. So Alvaro had said, bring some things and you can set it up around you and set intention for the ceremony. If you come to the ceremony with an intention, you can kind of work with that intention, or the plant medicine will just give you what you need, not what you want. I also brought a yellow rose, and I wanted to bring this rose to offer it to Alvaro as this nice to meet you, like this symbol of friendship. And thank you for inviting us. So we arrived, and I was walking around looking for Alvaro, and I found him, of course. He was in a circle around the fire playing guitar and singing songs. He is his main job is like he facilitates ayahuasca ceremonies in the United States. He actually gets ayahuasca from Hawaii, not from Peru. Although he can get it from Colombia and Peru and South America, he ended up being able to source some Hawaiian ayahuasca, which is very different apparently than South American ayahuasca. I wouldn't know because I've never had South American ayahuasca, but I would want to go to the jungle and make it myself if I ever did that again. So, anyways, he was on his guitar singing songs, and that's what he did during the ayahuasca ceremonies. He was just playing his guitar and singing love songs all throughout the night. I offered him that yellow rose, and he showed us around the property. And as we wandered around, I felt like I was called to like this area, and I was like, oh, what's over here? And I found this like really beautiful hawk feather. I think I mean, I can't remember which feather it is because I have a thing of all of my feathers, and I don't quite remember which one it is, but it's in there. I just don't have it to show you. But the land gifted me the hawk feather. I also got a fruit from one of the cactuses, and I put it on my altar when I got home too. And so finding that feather was really special for me, and I love finding feathers. It's one of my favorite synchronicities. So as the daylight began to fade and we started to gather around the ceremony fire, I was sitting in circle and Justin was by my side and Alvaro was near us. I was still nervous and I didn't know what to expect, and they started to create an altar of flowers, like an offering for Wachuma before we started the ceremony. So there was a fire keeper, and he was stoking the fire, building the fire, making sure that it was tended, and he would come back every now and then to move things and to add things. He was making sure the fire stayed lit the whole ceremony. It was beautiful. And So we wait until the sun sets to be able to sit with Wachuma. And there was this elaborate opening and closing ceremony, which I won't get into, but it was very special. And they included some of the men. They were like whole, it was beautiful. The men held the circle or container open and then they closed it. So there was this really intense thing that they needed to do that to courage. So they asked for all the courageous men, and my husband actually partook in that. And yeah. So, anyways, before we were offered the plant medicine, I think it was before or in the beginning when we first took it, because it takes a little bit to catch on. Sorry, someone was in the waiting room. The shaman wanted to tell us a story. So this is the story that I'm sharing with you, and I think it's perfect for the black door, and you'll understand why. So this is the story of a woman named Agua Sucia. And Agua Sucia means dirty water in Spanish. And this story he told has stayed with me ever since. And so this is how I remember it. I can't find it online. I have no idea where he got it from. I think he created it for the ceremony, or she. I can't remember which person. Anyways, I remember the story very well. So there was once a young woman who lived in a small village, and her name was Anna, or Anna. She was not special in any way that stories usually begin with. She was just an ordinary woman. She fetched water, she helped her family, she laughed with her friends, she watched the seasons turn, and one day, as you know, it happens to most maidens, she met someone and fell in love. And he happened to be a traveling salesman. He was always coming and going, and he was bringing stories from other towns, little gifts, promises of one day when I'm back for good. And they would have like a secret meeting place. I think it was by the well, the town well. And they would talk for hours and they would dream together. And then, as it so happens, she found out that she was with child, that she was pregnant, that their love had, created a little baby inside of her. And from that moment, everything glowed. She was just so happy. She was dreaming. She was idealistic. She was like, oh, yes, this is so amazing. I have the love of my life. And now we have a child, and he's going to go off and come back. And we're going to just be this big, happy family. And so in her mind, she saw, a tiny house of her own. She saw her lover returning to her. And she saw her child running through the streets that looked like her and him together. But before she could even tell him that she was pregnant, he was actually gone again on the road. He said he would return, and so she trusted his word and she waited. She waited days and she waited weeks. There was no letter and there was no word and there was no man. He did not come back. And just the baby inside her growing in her belly, and also this worry growing as well. Because in that kind of place, a woman with a child and no husband was not a miracle. It wasn't Mother Mary. No, it was not. These women were called whores, and the child would be called a bastard. And with the fear of being rejected by her small village, she confided in her closest friend. She said, I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. I don't think he's coming back. He might come back. He said he would come back, but it's been so long. He hasn't returned, and I'm getting bigger, and I'm afraid people are going to start to notice, and then they're going to know that I'm pregnant and I don't have a husband. And so, with worry in her eyes, her friend said, you need to listen to me. If you have this baby, they will destroy you. Every step you take will be under their judgment. And the child, do you want the child to grow up under their cruelty? Do you want a bastard? Better to end it now. Better to end it now before the secret gets out. Better to spare the child. Better to spare you. It wasn't like spoken in malice. Like, it's not like, oh, you're a bad person. Like, no, she was genuinely concerned for her friend. And it was spoken out of fear. And, you know, what she thought was love from her friend. Like, oh, okay. This is love. She cares about me. She wasn't feeling like, oh, it's out of fear. Let's do this out of fear. Like, oh yeah, my friend cares about me and this baby. Like, no, I don't want to bring this baby into this world like that. So, her dreams ended in that moment. She was like, okay. Her heart was broken and her future was collapsing in on itself. So she ended the pregnancy. She was like, I don't think he's coming. My hope is squashed. And you're right. I should end the pregnancy. So she did. And something happened in her that day. And it wasn't just the baby's life that ended, her life ended as well. What she hoped for, what she thought was going to be her life, it was gone. And a seed was planted. So the baby was lost, but a new seed was planted there. And this was a seed made of pessimism, of bitterness, of judgment. And it wasn't just towards the village of, oh, they're going to say this about me. And it wasn't just towards the man, it was like towards life itself. She told herself, of course, this is what life is. You give your heart and it leaves. You carry a dream and it dies inside you. You hope and it proves you wrong. The man never returned. Her belly was also empty, barren, gone, nothing there. Her future, as she imagined it, vanished, and as the seasons turned, so did her eyes. They were not filled with light or hope anymore. And where other people saw sunny days, she saw a sky waiting to storm. Where others saw a wedding, she saw a marriage destined to fail. Where others laughed, she rolled her eyes and thought, just wait. And her words have become sharp, her tone became sour, and she always had a reason why things wouldn't work, why people couldn't be trusted, or why love never lasted. And the village noticed. They began to avoid her in the marketplace and pretended not to hear her when she spoke because all she said was negative things. She became the judgment she was scared of. They whispered to each other, she's so negative. She's always complaining. She poisons everything. And then something strange started to happen over the years. Whenever she was around, little misfortunes seemed to follow her. A clay pot would slip from someone's hands and they would shatter. People would trip. The sky would darken and then it would storm and it would ruin all the washings that they had hung up trying to dry. So many things would happen. And were those things really her fault? You know, life happens, but they began to string these events together like beads on a necklace, and then they hung it around her like, you did this, you're bad luck. Did you notice that every time she's nearby, something goes wrong? And her words were like curses too, you know? Her pessimism calls in bad things. That's the way she would perceive things. In her eyes, she wasn't just annoying anymore. She was like bad luck, a walking, talking manifestation of that misfortune. And the more they believed it, the more they looked for proof. And the more they looked for proof, obviously they found it. And so people would say she dirties the water with her pessimism. And in a small village, water is everything: drinking, cooking, washing, surviving. And the well is often the center of community. It's the life of the community. So whatever happens to that water happens to everyone. And as a child, she used to be the one that would, fetch water for her family, and she contributed to the flow of that life water to her family and to, the town. But after the abortion, after, the bitterness and the constant pessimism, she was different. And then they experienced her as someone who brings every conversation down, makes every hope sound foolish. She dirties the water. She makes it poison. And they were convinced that her bitterness was cursing the village. And they decided that she needed a name, Anna needed a name that they believed suited her. So one day the elders came to her and said, listen, you may stay in this village, but you must move to the farthest edge. Your pessimism is dirtying our water, and people don't want to hear it anymore. And we're no longer going to be calling you by your given name. From this day on, you are agua sucia. You are dirty water. This is who you are. And so if you want to stay here, that's how we will refer to you as, and you have to move. Otherwise, you need to leave. So she stayed and she became Agua Sucia. And because she already believed the worst about herself, she believed this too. So she took on that name and said, yep, I'm Agua Sucia. She took their words into her body like another kind of medicine, but it was poison, right? It was a poison that she swallowed and swallowed until she could no longer remember who she'd been before. And years had passed, and she lived on the edge of the village. And she was wrapped in her own bitterness, and every conversation was another chance to prove that life was terrible, that people were cruel, and that nothing good was real. And she forgot that she was once a little girl with hope and love and dreams. She forgot the softness of her own heart. She became the name that they gave her. But one night, everything changed. It was late, the moon was full, and most of the village was asleep. And that's the time that she would tend to go into the village, to be in the village, to be accepted by the village. And there was a tiny house at the edge of the fields, and there was a woman in it. And she was screaming, she was crying. Agua Sucia heard her. This woman was in labor, and her pains came hard and fast. And the whole birthing, the whole pregnancy, the whole delivery, it just came super fast. So there was no time to fetch a midwife. Her husband was out doing something, and so there was nobody in the house that could go get the midwife. There was no one else near her to hear it either, except Agua Sucia. And the woman was alone, and she was terrified, and she was in pain, and she thought something was wrong. And it was her first child, so she'd never birthed any children before. And she did the one thing she could only think of, is that she cried out in the night for help with all her strength, like, help, someone help me, something's wrong. And Agua Sucia happened to be passing by, noticed that woman screaming, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna go see what's going on. So she gets there and she's kind of peeking in the door, and the woman sees her. She's like, Agua Sucia, please help me. I need you. And for a moment, she froze. Like, her instinct was to shrink back and be like, oh, I'm not really supposed to, like, I'm gonna go. I'm not good at this. No, 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 you don't want me. I'm not the right one. I bring bad luck. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm horrible, and nobody likes me. I bring bad outcomes, and you don't want me here. You need to call someone else. Maybe I'll go get someone else. And she's like, no, 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 please. She pleaded with her, more desperate this time. And there's no time. There's no time to fetch anyone else. I need you. I need you right now. Please help me have this baby. Agusticia still shook her head and was like, I can't do this. And the woman was in bed, looked up, and was like, listen, I do want you. I do need you. I don't care what they call you. I trust you. You came here. You heard my calls. You came here. Please stay. I believe in you. I believe in you. Those words cracked something in her. Someone believes in me. Someone wants me. Someone needs me. When was the last time anyone had said to her, I trust you. I believe in you. I want you here. Right? Did she trust herself? Did she believe in herself? Did she even want to be here? She had convinced herself that she was not wanted anywhere. But Agua Sucia felt a warmth rise in her chest. It was a trembling, unfamiliar thing, like, oh. She nodded yes, and she stayed. She stayed, and there were only contractions, there were breaths, there were moans, there were whispers. Like, she brought water or washcloth and put it on the woman's forehead. She held her up when the waves of contractions came. She breathed with her. She helped her. She facilitated the labor with her. She had never done this before. She didn't have any training. She didn't have a title, but she did have instinct. And what she had was a heart that, beneath all those layers of bitterness, knew how to care for somebody in their darkest moments, knew how to care for somebody who was scared and afraid and had so much fear and never gave birth before either. Like, she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know what to expect. Aqua Sucia didn't either, because she had never delivered a baby. So she prayed, she helped her, and slowly, between the cries and the prayers and then the rush of womb water, a new life slipped into the world. and the baby cried, and the mother sobbed with relief, like, oh, the baby's here, the baby survived. The mother was exhausted, Agua Sucia was exhausted, and for the first time in years, Agua Sucia felt something other than hopelessness, other than pessimism. She felt awe and wonder and a deep reverence for life. She stayed with the mother. Morning came, and then word spread quickly that the baby had been born, and the baby had been born safely, and that the only one there to help her was a woman named Agua Sucia, dirty water. And the villagers gathered, and they wanted to see the baby. They wanted to see Agua Sucia. They were so curious. And the young mother, she was tired, but so happy, glowing. And she said to the elder, she said to anybody that visited, she did this, she stayed with me, she helped me, she brought my baby into the world. And she is not dirty water. She's the one who carried me through this. And the elders looked at Agua Sucia and they really looked at her, maybe for the first time since they named her or renamed her. And they saw the exhaustion, but they also saw this tenderness in the way that she was holding the newborn. And they saw not a poison, but a midwife, not a curse, but a keeper of life, or a steward of life, or a deliverer of life. And one of them stepped forward and said, "We were wrong. We called you Agua Sucia, and we made you a vessel of our own judgment and fear. But last night you showed us, you showed the woman, you showed the town who you really were. You are not dirty water. And from this day forward, we name you Agua de Vida Radiante, and that's called radiant life water." So from Agua Sucia to radiant life water, from dirty water to radiant life water, because through your hands, life came safely into this world, because you did not run from the waters of birth, because you turned your pain into purpose. And in that moment, the floodgates opened, something broke open in her. And after years of being seen as poison and years of seeing herself as a curse, she felt the truth move through her like a new current of water. I'm not what happened to me. I'm not the worst choice I ever made. I'm not the village's judgment, and I'm not their name for me. I am who I choose to be with the life that is in my hands now. And from that day forward, she devoted herself to helping women give birth, to standing at the threshold between worlds, tending the waters of life instead of tending the waters of resentment. People still remembered her old name, but they said it with a different understanding. And it was a transformation story. It was a purpose story. She found her purpose. Maybe she wasn't meant to be a mother, but she was meant to midwife. She was meant to help mothers become, or she helped people become mothers. So even water that has been called dirty can remember that it's part of the spring, can remember where it came from. And even a heart hardened by judgment can become a river of radiant living water. And that's the story of Agua Sucia and the woman that was once named Dirty Water. And, through an act of trust on another woman's part, through one day of her choosing to stay and do something she's never done before, trusting her intuition, trusting herself. And she found out that underneath all of it, she had always been radiant life water. Yeah. And the malachite that I brought to the ceremony, malachite is actually the midwife stone. And that was part of when I knew that was, my calling, and not in a traditional sense of I'm going to help mothers, midwife, come bring babies into the world. I felt like I was here to help people midwife themselves, rebirth themselves. And it was my initiation into rebirthing myself. So, why am I telling you this story on the black door, right? Because it landed in me as this bigger pattern of, you know, rebirthing ourselves, and even with all the pessimism and all of the judgment and all of the shadow that we are taking in, that we're believing, and even if it takes over our if the shadow takes over our whole life, in it has the ability to be transformed, to become our purpose in that pain. And it's not just the stone of midwifing, it's birth, death, transition, and it's heart alchemy since it is green. And I had no idea that I was being prepared to midwife my own rebirth. And, I did the Wachuma ceremony, and then I went into the ayahuasca ceremony, and, I found that hawk feather, and it just gives you hawks are, the 17 gene key is the animal totem is the hawk, is the peregrine falcon actually. And they give us a higher perspective. And so the 17 goes from judgment to integrity, or sorry, no, that's the 18. 18 goes from judgment to integrity to perfection. And that's the programming partner of the 17, which moves from opinion to farsightedness to omniscience. And so we've got opinions and judgments, and they can dirty our waters. We hold on to opinions or judgments too strongly, they dirty our waters. We listen to other people, listen to the pessimism of others, buy into those stories, and it starts to change us. But there's always an opportunity for us to change our story, to change how we see ourselves, to change how we perceive ourselves, and to give ourselves a higher purpose, a higher calling, and look at our pain and how it shaped us and help us find our purpose in that. And so we're able to rise above the stories, above the village gossip, above the dirty water narratives, and see the patterns from the sky. So, yeah, I just felt like, it's interesting because the reason this story came back to me is I was editing a video that I had recorded on, I think it was the 13th door, not this 13th. Wow, interesting, even more synchronicities. I was editing the 13th archetype, the 13 doors, and that one is pessimistic. 13.3 is pessimism in the third line, but it listens to the secrets. It's the confidant archetype. And so I had told the story of Agua Sucia during that presentation, and I listened to it bawling, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember the story, but hearing it again just landed deeper because I'd been through so much. So a few months after that experience with Wachuma, you know, that yellow rose actually came back to find me, but in a completely different form. So fast forward to the ayahuasca ceremony. On that first night, I sat with her, and I was actually plunged into judgment of myself. So the 18 came in hot and heavy. Like, I'm working with the 18 and the 17, and it seems like like judgment wanted to come through. And that's my IQ sphere. And I was like, okay, here's the theme. Great. And on the second night, ayahuasca spoke very clearly to me. She said, and she told me this before, like I sat with her the first night, and then it's almost like I was not disconnected from her after that. I kept hearing her voice in my head, and she was like, you're going to need to go into that pool in the backyard, and you're going to be rebirthed in the water. So after that first cup, I had asked the first cup of ayahuasca, I asked Justin and my friend Rachel if they would help me. And I front loaded it before we sat with ayahuasca. I was like, listen, I think in the beginning of the journey, I'm going to need to get in that pool, and I don't know how I'm going to feel with this. So can you guys help me? And they were like, yeah, we can do it. So I got in the pool, and I was floating in the pool, and Rachel was like next to me. I don't know if she had her hand on me or she was helping me float. And then I told Justin that he needed to pray. And so he was praying, and the water in the background is super distracting. Apparently, the radiant life water wants to be seen. So I was in the water, and he was praying, and I started to feel like these convulsions happen in me. So I was like shaking in the water, convulsing in the water, doing my weird stuff. And Alvaro, because I asked Alvaro, I was like, listen, can I go in the pool? Is it like okay that I'm going? I kept asking him for permission. I was like, can I go in the bathroom? Can I do this? That was my judgment, like needing to ask for permission to do anything. Like, am I a good girl? Am I a good girl? That's what I was working through. And I'm like, can I go in the water? I don't know. Is it safe? Am I able to do this? And he said, yeah. And so we were in the water and he was standing outside of the water. He didn't get in. And I saw him walk over to the other side of the pool and he was like looking in the pool and out of the corner of my eye and he picked something up out of the pool. And I was like, okay, I finished my rebirth, whatever that. And it definitely was like an amazing experience for me. And as I get up and we're still in the water, Alvaro comes over and he's like, you know that yellow rose that you gave to me during Wachuma? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I think that it just transformed into a butterfly because let me see if I can pull this up, he found this exact butterfly in the water. This is water, and this is the butterfly. It was literally this. I took a picture of it, and this is what the butterfly looked like. So the butterfly was in the water, and he takes it, and he's like, "It's you. You rebirthed yourself into a butterfly." And I started bawling, and I was like, "Oh my God." And it was like the most magical experience ever. And it's like when those things happen, it's like the shifts that you need to start to believe that transformation is happening because it starts to happen in your real world. It was insane. And I knew I was in for a trip with ayahuasca. So I looked at my husband, I was like, can you take care of me tonight? And so he took the butterfly and he sat on the couch and had the butterfly sitting next to him, sat with him the whole night, didn't fly away. It was just sitting there. He was watching the whole show of ayahuasca, and so was the butterfly. And it didn't leave. And then in the morning, while everybody was exhausted and going to bed, I sat with the butterfly and I was talking to the butterfly. I'm like, what do you want to share with me? Like, and I was listening and hearing it, and it was telling me stuff. And I was like, okay, it's so magical. And I was like, I'm gonna go take a shower now. Are you gonna be here when I come back? And it said yes. And it wasn't, it was gone. I'm like, oh, my hope. Anyways, it couldn't stay forever. So, anyways, the yellow rose became a yellow butterfly. So, rebirth, transformation, and I felt transformed, and that whole experience transformed me. So, yeah, so here's the other wild part is like all this water wasn't just happening in the ceremony, it was happening in my home. So even before I went and did San Pedro and ayahuasca, Justin and I were still living in San Diego and we put a reverse osmosis system in our home because we wanted better water. Do you know what it was called? The system we put in our home was called Radiant Life Water. And then we went to Wachuma, and that woman told the whole story. And at the end of the story, she said, "And now you are called Radiant Life Water." I was bawling. I was like, "This story is for me. Here's my stone, and I put water in my house." And I was like bawling. I'm like, "This is for me, life. This is for me." So many people there were like, "Oh my God, that story's for me." So it really reached everybody, you know. And then fast forward to now, we moved to Oregon, different house, different land, different water. And this time we weren't on city water, we were on well water, like agua sucia, like well water. And as soon as we were about to buy this house, we found out the well was dry. The well is dry. We have no water. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? So the realtor actually gave us a reverse osmosis system that she wasn't going to use, and we haven't hooked it up because it's missing a part, but it's called aquasana, which means healing water. So we went from radiant life water to healing water, and we're actually getting a new well. It's being drilled this week. So radiant life water was in one home, healing water in this room, in this home, and now we have a new well that's about to be drilled. And so this week is about drilling down into your subconscious, into your unconscious, into the things that you believed about yourself, into the judgments, into the opinions, drilling down and like even below that stuff. Because at the bottom is like the source of your radiant life water, of who you are at your core. It's always there, right? There's healing water within you. We don't need to search outside of ourselves to be healed, although there are, magical, extravagant events and synchronicities that can happen to just show us, yes, you're on the path. Yes, things are happening and transforming. So now that that well is being drilled this week, the invitation is for us to, improve our inner waters, to reconnect to our spring, our well of not just wisdom, but of healing. Because there have been so many instances in our lives where we have dirtied our own waters or let somebody else's judgment or inherited opinions, inherited shadows, inherited corruption that has dirtied our waters. Oh, I haven't had any of my tea yet. I shall drink. It feels like the correct moment. Sorry. I'm doing the Jurgen Sasha tea. Actually, my friend Larissa shared this with me, and there's a whole story behind this. But anyways, this helps heal poison, snake bites. Like people use it to heal regular colds and illnesses, but particularly the story behind this was about healing poison. And where have we poisoned our waters with our thoughts, with our judgments? I also added hibiscus to it, which whenever I need a little bit of kali in my life for transformation and let's cut through all that stuff, I put hibiscus in with it. So now I have Jurgen Sasha, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, and hibiscus. So here's to healing, here's to not poisoning ourselves anymore and reconnecting with those living waters inside of us that have a story and that can be healing waters again, and that are kind of our own rivers that are guiding us and leading us towards our purpose, towards our potential. And that's where this becomes about you and why this matters for you right now in your body, because we are mostly made from water. And if you study and look at the human body, 60-70% or something is made of water in your blood, in your cells, in your brain, in your tears. And if there's intelligence within the water, Dr. Dr. Emoto, he became known for his experiments where, he would speak into the water, music, intentions, whatnot, and then freeze it. And then, when it's frozen, those crystals, depending on if he spoke love or hate into them, they would form different things. And obviously, when it was spoken with love, beautiful, beautiful patterns and geometry. And then, with hate, you fool, I hate you, all that stuff, it was like not great. There was no geometry. So water seems to respond to things. And so the woman, SUCIA, she bought into, like, she had her own pessimism. She lost hope. And then, the village reflected that back to her. But when she began believing in herself, the woman believed in her, then she bought into that. Oh, I can believe in myself. She changed her name, like years and years of being called Agua Sucia. She changed. So there's hope. There's hope for when you feel like I'm too far gone, or I can never manifest that, or that's just not for me, or I'm not smart enough, or I don't have the credentials, or I don't like all of that, all of the story that's not even serving you. We want to pay attention to those words and we want to transform them. We want to start speaking love, start speaking hope, start speaking praise. And so this is to help transform the waters within, to let go of any of the judgment, any of the opinions that are not serving, that are not to the highest and best of who we are. It's here to help counteract the poison that we've been drinking all of our lives, all the things we bought into that is just harming us. We're going to let go of all the poison in our life. So this week is about going in and excavating that and rewriting our story and connecting with those shadow parts and welcoming them home. No, you're not Agua Sucia on the outskirts of town and you're bad luck. And no, I'm going to know you. I'm going to bring you back home. Let's integrate you. Let's come back. You have a purpose, and we're going to uncover where your pain came from and we're going to heal it. It's just a part of you calling for healing, calling for love. It's a cry for love. So bottoms up, we'll drink some love. Yummy, yummy love. So the question that I ask, the question becomes, what are you saying to the waters in your body? What are you speaking over your heart, over your nervous system, over your cells? Gene Keys speaks about epigenetics. The shadow, the gift, and the acidic frequency is what makes it possible to have that transformation in that system. Because Richard talks about epigenetics, which is our, like, you're not a slave to your genes. We can rewrite them, right? People say nature and nurture, and it's been seen that it's kind of a combination of both. We are kind of the environment that has shaped it and molded us, but at any moment we can rewrite that coding. We can go in and find those shadow parts, enter the shadow, and excavate that gift on the other side of that. Yeah, if we just tune into any of the keys that are in your chart and just think about the shadow, the gift, and the acidic frequency, we're not here to push away the shadow. We need to enter the shadow. Richard told, like, contemplation allows us to see what wants to bloom, what wants to birth, what wants to come out of this. And so we enter the shadow. And I remember in the beginning of my journey, I spent a lot of time in the shadows because I saw the shadows as something wrong. My 18 was looking through a lens of judgment, like, what's wrong? There's something wrong here. I need to find all the wrongness and heal all that wrongness before I can, like, just rest in this beingness. I was not allowing myself to rest. I was not allowing myself to see the positives. I was just like, okay, where's the next shadow? Where's the next shadow? Where's the next shadow? We don't want to just focus on the shadow because that's all we're going to find. And if all you find is shadow, you start to get pessimistic about others, pessimistic about yourself. You're just judging everything as wrong. And so that's one of the fine print in the gene keys is you don't spend all your time digging and diving into the shadows. It's a small portion of it. You want to be aware of it, but you don't want your focus to be on it. So if we focus on the gift, if we focus on the city, what we focus on expands. And if we're focusing on the gift, the shadow will naturally come up and be like, you're not getting any farther in this because we need to attend to this. We don't need to go out and quest for the cities either, the shadows. We don't need to go in the quest for the shadows. They're going to naturally come up in our lives. They're going to naturally be reflected in our lives too, right? SUCIA became pessimistic. She lost her hope. She lost her love. She lost her baby. And she did this out of fear because she thought, oh, the town's going to judge me. But then she judged herself, and then she judged everything. So she became the judgment that she was afraid of. Can you think about that? Like, my 18, I become the judgment I'm afraid of. I'm like, I have been afraid of judgment in my life, of people judging me, of what they might say about me. I'm a 5'1". Like, what are they going to misinterpret me or misunderstand me? Like, what do they think about me? What do they say about me? Am I being a good girl? Am I doing things well? Am I doing them perfect? Like, that, those would be my thoughts. So take your whatever gene key and what we're afraid of, being afraid of complexity in the 23, and then we become complicated. I'm afraid of the chaos, and then I become the chaos. Like, insert shadow. We resist it, it persists, we become it. It is all around us, we are it. So anything you fear, we push it away, locked away as a skeleton in the closet somewhere inside of us. It ends up, we become it, or it's just everywhere. And then we're trying to hypervigilantly avoid that thing. But we want to enter the shadow. Like, it's going to knock on the door, and we're here. Like the cries in the night of the pregnant woman saying, help me. Agua Sucia, help me. Please help me. Me? Oh my gosh. You'll have moments in your life where you are called for more, where you are called to do things you've never done before. Sometimes life isn't looking for a credential or a certification. They're looking for you. They're saying, you're the one, perfect for this. This is your calling. Of course, you don't have a credential or a certification because I don't want you to be like those credentialed certified. I want you to use your intuition because you're going to bring through a brand new way of doing this thing. I am not certified in human design. And I was not a ambassador or a guide before when I started to do this or when I started to teach. I'm a guide now. I was actually kicked out of the ambassador program for not meeting the criteria. Because I didn't buy some courses they wanted me to buy. I just bought the books on Amazon, and I was like, I know this like the back of my hand. Why can't I do it? No, you need to have all these courses. I'm like, okay, then I'm not going to do it. Anyways, that's a story for another time. But now is the time to really dig into and feel into very heretical of you. Yeah, my 5-1. We want to talk to the dirty waters within us. We want to find the radiant water within us. We want to transmute the dirty water that we've inherited. Have you seen that like video where it's like the grandmother and it's like the water's all super dirty and then the mother has clean water and you pour the grandmother's water in it and then it dirties in it and then you keep doing it and doing it. And it's like all the things that were passed on and then like it stops with me and there's water being poured in it and like all of the dirty water is coming out and the new water is refreshing it until eventually it's just all pure water so that you don't pass on any of the dirty water to your kids. That's what we're doing here is we're working on the corruption in our DNA, the shadows that we're facing. We're bringing light to the darkness. And you're learning and you're healing. And we can learn that we're worthy of good things. Your presence is a blessing. That's what AGUA had to learn. Like, I'm worthy of good things. I'm capable of midwifing life. I am radiant life water. I'm not what they labeled me as. I'm radiant life water. That doesn't mean that we're bypassing the pain or pretending that everything's fine. Yes, I'm radiant life water. No. Do we keep cursing our inner waters? Or do we start speaking hope and love? It's the new water you keep pouring in, and then eventually it becomes pure and pure. And you're going to find things on the way that are little antidotes, that are little helpers. Like you'll find herbs and oils and people that are pouring into you, that see the light in you. Like you're going to be the one that recognizes the light and calls forth the light, not judging the person like, oh, like they probably hear that all the time. But you're going to resist your urge to do what everybody else has been doing to that person and be like, oh, I see the smart, capable boy in you. I see the strong, wonderful woman in you. Like calling forth and encouraging like a little cheerleader, encouraging the light, encouraging the genius in others, and doing it for yourself in yourself. AGUA was told, I believe in you. You can do this. She's like, okay, I'm going to believe that for a second. And then using her intuition to help, let's birth this baby together. I'm going to help you. So that's what we need to do. We need to encourage ourselves. We need to pour into ourselves and pour into other people. And we can just be that light in the darkness. You're drilling a new well inside of you. You're striking gold, you're striking oil, you're striking, radiant life water. And when you connect to that, and it's gonna feel weird at first because you're like, well, I'm used to getting water from this well. And this tastes really different. And it feels kind of weird because I'm not used to being so positive and optimistic and whatnot about myself. But as you keep drinking that water, it becomes a habit. Right? And we want to speak that to our shadows. We want to speak that to the parts that really need it, the parts that need the love. And then you'll start to do that for other people too, is you'll speak to the parts that really need the love. And when someone's being mean, you're going to meet their, what is it? Richard says something. He's like, return love to non-love. So when someone's giving you non-love, you give them back love. And when you're feeling that non-love, amplify that by doing 2 loving things for yourself. Like, oh, here comes that unloving thought. And it's like, okay, well, what do I need? How can I love myself more in this moment? Right? Because it just needs more love. So you're shifting the quality of the water that you're drawing from inside of you. And honestly, you don't like that agua sucia, that dirty water inside of you, there's wisdom in it. Why did it become dirty? When did it become dirty? What makes you drink from agua sucia versus radiant life water? There's a reason it's there, and there's meaning in your pain, and it becomes your genius. It becomes your purpose. Your potential lives there too. There is an overcomer in you that is here to overcome the poison, right? Chiron, he became a master healer. he was working with the gods, and Hercules accidentally shot him in the leg, or the leg, with an arrow, a poisoned arrow. And because he was a demigod, he didn't die, but he kept the pain in his leg. And he, the rest of his life, he was looking for healing modalities to help him heal that. So if you want to look at your Chiron activation, you can look at that as your Agua Sucia, like where's the pain? Where's the healing that I can learn from? You can look at your core wound. There's your core. The core wound becomes your vocation, becomes the fuel for your life's work. That is like literal Agua Sucia, radiant life water transformation. What once hurt you and harmed you becomes the thing that fuels your mission and your life's work, right? She was hurt and harmed. She lost her child and lost her love. And then now she is the one that is stewarding the transition into the world for these children. Instead of babies that are dying, she's stewarding life into the world. So I guess let's take a moment to go into the living waters, and we'll wrap up with this, but let's tune into your waters and try this together for a moment. So find a comfortable position again. You can sit up or lay down, whatever feels right for your body right now. And let your spine, we're gonna strong spine, soft belly, open heart. Let your shoulders drop. If you want to bring it up to your ears and then drop it, it'll help them drop farther. Unclench your jaw. Tighten your fists and then open them. Tighten and open. Tighten and open. You can do that with parts of your body. Tighten your buttocks. Let it go. We're just bringing softness, bringing surrender into our body. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling with a sigh. Allow the sighs to be your release. So inhale again through the nose and release. I want you to put your hand on any part of your body that feels like it's calling you right now. Might be your heart, might be your belly, your womb space, your throat, your shoulders, whatever. Whatever your hands land on, imagine that you are touching waters inside of you, like you're dipping your hands into this spring, into this well, into a body of water. Bringing your awareness into that inner water. You can almost imagine or sense that your body is kind of collecting all the droplets and particles of water in your body, and it's coming up to that place that you have your hand on, and it's creating a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger pool of water. Like water is coalescing in that place. It feels dense now. Like, oh, there's a lot of water here. You are in so many ways a living, moving, feeling river. To feel into the quality of these waters. Are you interpreting your waters as dirty or clean? What's the viscosity? Is it thick or is it light? Does it have a color? No judgment, just collecting data. We're feeling into the stories that live in this water. If the water could share the stories, what would it say? What stories are living there? I'm too much. I always mess things up. Bad things happen to me. I'm the problem. We'll pause for a moment to see if you can pull out any phrases from this water. And it might be amazing things like, you are amazing, you are smart, you are. What do your waters say? Whatever your waters are saying comes from the stories that you're telling yourself or that your environment is absorbing into you. It's true in those waters. And so if there's anything in the waters that are a lie, that are false, that are negative, that contribute to agua sucia, now would be the time to encode a new story, encode something light and bright and beautiful, if you feel called. If you want to work with your agua sucia, you can write down and you can start investigating and contemplating the story of your dirty water. It might also help lead you towards your purpose, your potential. Let's speak to our waters together. First, we acknowledge the water within us. To the waters in my body, I see you. To the waters in my body, I'm sorry for all the times that I called you dirty. To the waters in my body, thank you for carrying me this far. I am not dirty water. I am learning to become radiant life water. My presence does not curse the room, it blesses the room. I am allowed to change. I am allowed to heal. I release the name others gave me in fear or that I gave myself. And I listen for the name my soul has for me in love. My waters are remembering their original purity. I am safe to become more gentle with myself. I am safe to expect goodness. Breathe deeply. Give yourself a little hug. We'll let our body feel whatever it feels. Thank you for speaking to your waters. They're listening. I bless the waters in my body. I bless the waters in my life. So as we wrap up our journey into the black door and where we've maybe called ourselves dirty water, feel into that part of you that can see from the hawk's perspective, the part of you that can midwife a new story, and the part of you that can start speaking to the waters inside of you with reverence instead of ridicule. We're not asking to force miracles either, but they're here. It is possible things can change in a moment. But we're going to stop agreeing that we're cursed, or this is just how it is, or it's going to take time. It can happen overnight. Things can transform in the blink of an eye. You are radiant life water. You are just becoming aware of it. In the black door, we met AGUA SUCIA stories. We come to face the names we've been given and given to ourselves. Too much, too intense, too negative, too sensitive. The problem, the drama, the curse, the chaos. All that inherited judgment and pessimism too. We're not going to let it shape our reality anymore. We are conscious creators. We are creating a reality. We're coloring every opportunity in front of us with Shambhala. We're manifesting more and more of what Shambhala is for us. So let's bring some radiant life water. We need a water source in our Shambhala, don't we? Heaven on earth, the Garden of Eden, there is a water source. And it's watering the plants there. It's watering the earth. It's fueling ourselves. So what are we drinking of? That white door, we met the light. Here we meet the dark. And now we're going to integrate both together. We're going to bring light to the dark. The darkness cannot survive in the light. It just becomes light. All right. Well, I thank you for joining me and for listening to the story. And I hope and pray that we all start living more and more like radiant life water or healing water. And that as we go forward on our week, we're drilling a new well, we're striking gold, and we're hitting that pure, unfiltered, beautiful water that we were born into, the womb waters that we were carried in, right? They influenced us. Our mothers created the womb water we were in, but we're connected to source, to God, to love, to light. And even though we might have inherited things from our mother, our grandmother, our lineage, we can purify that water because we have a straight on source connection. We can call in that light. We can call in that love. We can be the love. We can be the light. And we're going to love on those shadow parts. And we're going to take that agua sucia and we're going to transform it into our purpose. We're going to say, yes, I was agua sucia. Now I am radiant life water and I am a healer. And I will heal myself and I will heal others and I will bring love to the world. So on your way. Let's drink some more healing waters. And for those of you that are tuning into the Facebook group and the live, I bid thee adieu. And we're going to have a little convo in the Zoom room together. Thank you for entering the black door with me. Enjoy.